Hey everyone, I'm Jen and I'm the Director of Marketing over at Everise, and I'm so excited to welcome you guys to our new series called Navigating DeFi. Decentralized finance, or DeFi for short, can be really overwhelming. So basically what we're going to do with this series is we're going to break it all down and show you some of the best practices for navigating the space. Today, we're going to be going over two key things. One, what is DeFi? And two, how can you participate in this space? Are you guys ready? Because I'm so ready, and I'm ready to say hello to the future of finance. So let's do this. Let's start with DeFi itself. DeFi is a rapidly growing ecosystem of applications and protocols that are all built on top of a blockchain. What is a blockchain? It's essentially an unchangeable ledger that records transactions with full transparency. If you're participating in this space and you want to know where the money is, you can always check the blockchain. It's readily available and accessible by anyone in the world, which is really awesome. It provides full transparency in that way. Blockchains are also decentralized, and you're probably wondering, well, what does that mean? Essentially, it means that there's no more centralized control by banks or institutions. And the reason why this is good is because the core tenet of decentralization is that individuals, i.e. me, you, and really everyone else, we should be in charge of our own financial products. This opens up a ton of opportunities for things like higher yield financial products that are normally reserved for centralized institutions like banks, hedge funds, and market makers. I want to compare and contrast some of the key points that illustrate how DeFi is completely different from anything we've seen in the traditional finance space. So let's start with this example. If you want to open up a checkings or savings account, you generally need approval from the bank first. Whereas with DeFi, anyone in the world can create a digital wallet and participate in this space. Each time you make a deposit to your bank account, the bank essentially borrows that money from you and then they lend it out to other people, or they use it to make their own investments. Banks can use all of this leverage from their depositors, i.e. me, you, and everyone else that has a bank, to access financial products with a much higher yield than what they offer us on our savings accounts. This is why when we look at how much money we can earn when we put money into a savings account, it's so low. It's a little ridiculous if you think about it. I want you to think back to the housing market crash of 2008. What happened there? Banks were aggressively lending out deposited money, and when the market crashed, thousands of people lost their life savings. But with DeFi, any digital currency that's stored in your wallet is yours and yours alone. There's no centralized entities sending your money all over the world just to fatten up their bottom line. If there are higher yield opportunities available for you and your crypto, only you are allowed to pursue them. There's a saying in this space where we always say, your keys, your crypto. We'll get into that a little bit later. The other thing with banks is anytime you want to spend money you've deposited into your account, you're completely limited by your withdrawal limit or your credit limit. If you ever need to go over that limit, you're having to spend time, calling your bank, explaining to them what it is you want to purchase, and hope that they give you that approval and the temporary increase. Not to mention, if you want to transfer money, there's multiple points of potential failure. If your account that you're sending money from is compromised or hacked, all your funds are frozen. If there's technical issues with the bank itself, whether that's via their app or their website portal, you're not going to be able to get money in or out. In addition, you also are dealing with transfer limits and higher transfer costs. DeFi, on the other hand, since there are no third parties limiting you, you can send any amount of money to anyone you want to, anytime you need. On top of that, there are now so many cards out there that are available for you to take your crypto and spend it on real-world goods without the need for a bank. When you think about traditional finance, so banks, payment networks like PayPal, Venmo, and Zelle, we also just need to remember that these companies are owned and operated by for-profit companies. The companies make money by taking the money that we give them and lending it out to others. And honestly, the only reason, in my personal opinion, of why this system works is because it's the only system that we've had until now. We all know how much money the C-suite executives at companies like Citi, JP Morgan, Chase, B of A, we all know how much money they make. And that money has to come from somewhere, right? Up until now, those millions and billions of dollars have been coming from our deposits. Whereas DeFi is built on blockchain technology, which is really just a peer-to-peer network with a public ledger where every transaction is viewable by anyone at any given point in time. Anyone can utilize this system. And on top of that, there's no billionaires at the top to skim value. It's pretty cool, right? Before we really dig any deeper into DeFi, I really want us to go back to blockchain. You'll be hearing this word a lot, so it's really important that you have a fundamental understanding of what it is. Like I said earlier, blockchain technology can basically be boiled down as a peer-to-peer network with a public ledger. Let's say I have a friend, Storm. If I wanted to send Storm $3,000, traditionally, I would have to do it either wiring money via a bank, which requires a third party, sending it using a platform like PayPal or Venmo, which also requires a third party. I could write Storm a check and mail it to her, but that requires a third party on top of mailing and postage. Or, fourth option, I could give Storm the cold hard cash, but that would require that we're together in person. But in crypto, I can send Storm 1 Ethereum, which would then be sent directly to her Ethereum wallet, and a block on the Ethereum blockchain is created with all the details of the transaction, and it's put on the public ledger, which can be accessed by anyone. By sending Storm 1 Ethereum, I'm sending it directly to her, and I'm not engaging with any third parties like a bank at all. Again, the blockchain, it's really just a peer-to-peer network on a public ledger. Now let's say Storm then wanted to send 1 Ethereum to a friend of hers. She would be able to do that, and a new block would be created on the blockchain and viewable via public ledger. Every transaction that occurs on the blockchain creates a new block linked to all previous blocks, hence blockchain. This is why we consider this technology very transparent, because you're able to track on this public ledger from block to block where the money is going. You may have noticed that in the example I illustrated with my friend Storm, I specifically called out the Ethereum blockchain. Why? Because there are so many different blockchains. Before we dive into the different kinds of blockchains, let's talk about the difference between a coin and a token. A coin is a cryptocurrency that has its own blockchain. For example, Ethereum is a coin because it's the native currency of the Ethereum blockchain. BNB is a coin because it's the native currency of the Binance Smart Chain blockchain. CRO is a coin because it's the native currency of the Kronos blockchain. Little bit of a side note, sometimes the coins are named a little bit differently than the blockchain that they're native to. Many blockchains, however, actually allow developers to build projects on them. So when you think about a token, it's still a cryptocurrency, but it's a cryptocurrency that's built on top of other blockchains. Anyone in the world can write a computer program and create a token by pairing it against the native coin of that blockchain. And usually these native coins have a much more established reputation and therefore are capable of conferring values upon these more speculative tokens.